Thank you for tuning in to the Rock is George podcast, episode 242, featuring vocalist JOSH HARRINGTON and guitarist Chris Black of the modern metal act Horizon Theory, discussing their latest single Transcendence and their upcoming 2026 album Mission Control. If I knew absolutely nothing about Horizon Theory, how would you describe the band's music to me?
I would describe it as, I would say we're kind of a hard rock / metal band. And we like to write music that, that everybody can relate to. I would say, lyrically relatable, very relatable, music, basically.
Chris, would you agree with that? You're the riff.
Yeah, I would say, I would call it, say, metalcore, I guess. I don't know I'm not a big genre guy. I don't know what all that stuff's called, but we definitely have styles in our music that is almost classic rock, or could be considered maybe going as far back as that. Like, our verses are very reeled in instrumentally. We like to leave a lot of room for the vocals, and then we like to have a big chorus with kind of an underlying guitar riff that maybe resembles like In Flames or Killswitch Engage style riffs during the choruses, which were some of my inspirations when I started playing guitar. So I kind of implement some of those like Bullet for My Valentine style riffs into our choruses. Sometimes they get buried in the mix before everything's said and done. You can barely tell they're there, which is unfortunate, but it always comes out for the betterment of the song. So, but yeah, I guess that's kind of our style and our sound. Some of our verses could resemble even maybe Linkin Park or, stuff like that. So kind of a rap style, not rap, but kind of down that road of a
lot of nostalgia to different years of rock and metal. I think that you kind of hear out of our music, and it just comes out that way. It just kind of comes out that way. The way he writes, the way I write lyrics. And to add to it, like you basically asked if you didn't know anything about us. I'd have to say that we feel that we're real. I think that's huge. And kind of goes along with being with our relatable lyrics and such. You know what I mean? I think real, and anybody that knows us or who have met us at shows, at the merch booth, that the consensus is kind of all the same, and it's just who we are. You know what I mean? We're just normal dudes, man, having a blast. And I think we're real. Try to be very authentic.
And I understand what you're saying when you say that too, because the industry tends to take a sound and just pump out 30 bands that sound just like that sound.
We try not to do that. We usually we try to, and actually, so we, up until we just put out a single. We did a couple tours with Sevendust last year, and we ended up talking with Morgan, their drummer, about doing a album together. He came to us one day. We were in Florida, and said, "Hey, I'd like to do an album with you guys." So we put out our first single that we worked on with him, and before that, we had put out, I think, 15 or 16 tracks, and we just self-produce everything. We haven't worked with anybody on music until this deal with him, at least with this band, with this project. So everything was written definitely from the standpoint of just what we love, and what our inspirations were growing up and listening to music. Nothing was ever written with the concept in mind of or the idea of this has to make it to radio, or this has to be available for radio, or so
the formula's never appeased us.
So we like to write based on just what sounds good to us. And obviously our inspirations and what we loved growing up is, I guess you'd call it, outdated now. So it's it's tough when you want to make your music heard, available to everybody, and heard by as many people as possible. You want radio and like Octane and all the big channels to want it and to play it, but it's tough to kind of thread that needle of like, well, we still want to love our music and we want it to sound like something that we love, so you got to thread it. You got to give and take here and there sometimes. And, maybe, work on a couple tracks that, radio will accept the formula or the format or whatever.
Yeah.
But you just keep doing your music too, so it is what it is. You've got to play the game a little bit here and there.
Well, that gives me a good segue to talk about the latest single, which is Transcendence. It came out on November 7th through Mindful Recordings. This is the first in a series of singles from your upcoming album, Mission Control, which is due next year. Josh, why don't you tell me about the lyrical inspiration behind this song?
Well, Morgan and I kind of sat down and come up with this. And he's a genius with taking kind of what you want to put out, but you don't really know how. He's been doing it for so long. He's a genius with that. So it didn't take long, and we just kind of come up with this. Not really a story, but the lyrics kind of very relatable lyrics. Everybody's kind of been in that relationship where you thought everything was going good, and it just out of nowhere, just walls come crashing down. No explanation, no questions answered. Just done, and you kind of went away with your separate ways. So it came out fairly quick. We loved it. I think a lot of people can touch on that, and yeah.
Chris, when it comes to putting the music together, how did this song start on your end?
We came into the studio with him with a bunch of demos. We had like 25 track demo ideas on paper, essentially. And Morgan just kind of went through and picked some of his favorites. And this one ended up being totally different, really, from the original. He really chopped it up and wanted guitars re-recorded and verses and stuff changed. And I think the only thing that is left out of the original demo is like the intro riff, and which is happening in the post choruses. But it was interesting to watch and see something, when you get something done and you love it as is, and then someone can kind of take it and chop it up and change the whole thing essentially, and you end up, really loving it by the end of it. And that's what, you want to do when you're working with a producer. If you were just going to go to a guy, and have them just hit the red button and record what you've already done, you might as well do that at home. So, it was nice to have a fresh set of ears in the room and get a different take on it. This was a good way for us to expand our sound as a band and kind of change it up from what we'd been doing. So.
Now, I know you mentioned that your previous recordings were all pretty much DIY. You did it yourself. You had 25 demos going into this session with Morgan Rose. Was your intention originally to do another album on your own, and then the opportunity just happened with
for sure
playing with him?
Yeah, I mean, we're not going to stop. We were never going to stop putting out albums or music. We were working towards our next album before we even went on that last Sevendust tour that we did with them. We had probably 20 demos ready to go at that time. We were out supporting our newest release, our album called Radio Silence.
Yeah.
And so we were planning already, as soon as that tour was done, to hop back in to our home studio and finish up our next 10 tracks and get those mixed and mastered and put out another album. So this was just kind of a fork in the road. We already had these demos. We were going to do it, and then it just worked out. We got able to get in the studio with Morgan and try this new thing, and we had a lot of fun. So, we went down to outside of Chicago, I think 3 or 4 different weekends, and basically just did the recording stuff with those guys. Had a really good engineer in the room, and really great gear. Some good tube and analog gear to record ourselves with. And I think the stuff came out great. Sounds good. So,
yeah, it sucks to just put a single out when you want to put the whole album out, man.
Yeah,
I love every track on it, but Transcendence isn't even my favorite track. So it's like,
same.
Damn it,
Well, let's be honest. You just released your last album at the beginning of the year. Radio Silence came out around January or February, and you're already on to the next one.
Right.
Yeah. We always talk about that. We're lucky that we've had kind of a home studio set up because we can record all the time. And we feel like we're kind of ahead of the game in that regard. Like we've got probably 2 years worth of music right now that we could have mixed and mastered and put out anytime we feel like it. So, you know, when we sit down now to write, unless it's something that's just way better than the prior stuff, it's just building a backlog of music. I mean, we could probably put out 2 new albums right now of stuff that Josh and I have just sat down and recorded.
Yeah.
So it's nice. We've got stuff in the pipe for the future. So
Horizon Theory writes together as a group collectively in this home studio that you have?
Well, go ahead.
Yeah, Josh. For the most part. So Lewis, our bass player Lewis, he lives out in California, LA area. So it's hard, you know, and he can't fly out whenever. He's out here quite a bit, but a lot of the times it's Chris and I coming up with, you know, demos or ideas, whether it's just a verse or a chorus. But yeah, usually it's him and I. Now it's all of us collectively in the end, you know, ideas and stuff like that. You know, we're constantly sending stuff back and forth. But as far as, you know, just laying something down, we do it a lot. We do it on a weekly basis. That's why we have such a big backlog right now. You know, I think when we first got together, it was 2022.
Yeah.
We spent a year just writing, and you know, like a year in 2023, I believe we put out our first EP, which only had, you know, 6 songs on it or something like that. So we had already had probably 20 songs in the backlog then. So, you know, we have, anytime we get a little free time on our hands, we try to hook up, or he'll get bored at home and be noodling on the guitar and send it to me, and I might head over that night and lay something down, you know.
If it's exciting.
Exciting, yeah. Which everything's exciting anymore. And it's all, you know.
We've definitely honed in on I don't want to call it a formula, but we found our sound.
Yeah.
You know, at the very beginning, when I first met Josh, we had no idea. You know, as a songwriter, I have to learn what Josh's voice is like, what his capability and what his range is, and kind of write to that. Like, that's my job as a songwriter, is to give him material that he can get excited about and add vocals on. So usually it takes a year to learn someone. And now we've got it dialed into where I know exactly what his voice is going to like, in a sense. So I can sit down, if I get bored, I'll go out to my little spot at home and record, you know, a track in a night. You know, usually it's mainly done. And then I'll send it to him and he'll record vocals on it, or you know, write vocals and lyrics for it. And then once he's about 80% of the way there, we'll meet in the studio. He'll get in the booth and we'll do it for real. And usually there's some little last minute adjustments and whatnot, but at the end of the day, it goes pretty quick this way. So,
and we might sit on it for 6 months.
Yeah.
You know, like we got songs that we did that, you know, a lot of our backlog is, you know, stuff like that. And then we decided to put an album out, and we just kind of go through and
let's use that
hand pick, or we'll get excited. We'll go back through and listen to something we haven't listened to in a while and go, let's jump on that one, you know? So that we don't always just write a song and that's like on the next album, you know. It's just, we're throwing these ideas out there. We're trying to, you know, build our little pile. And
one of the things that's been great about this is we aren't just showing up as a band to a studio and saying, okay, you've got 5 days to record your next album, get it done.
Yeah.
The way we are able to do this is, you know, I think the great thing is we will listen to a song for 6 months, the demo of it, and then we'll be like, you know what, that chorus is boring to me now. Like it's starting to bug me. Like there's just something about it. Sometimes it's as simple as throwing like an underlying guitar riff in that chorus. And that's something we're able to do down the road before we put these songs out. We really take our time and analyze them and make sure we love every second of them. And, you know, that's, I think, why we've been so happy with what we've put out so far. We've taken our time with it, and we don't, you know, have to rush material out. Like that's one thing that always has, it's nerve wracking. You go, okay, we're going to work with this producer in this studio. You've got 6 days to get and when it's done, you're stuck with it. So if you go home and listen to it for the next 3 months before it gets out, and you don't like something about it, too bad.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's what it is. So
I wish we'd have did this, or man, I wish right here there would have, that happens way too often.
Yeah.
It's nice to not rush and have the kind of the process that we have, we don't feel it, and nothing's ever forced. Nothing's ever rushed. Other than our age.
Yeah. Yeah. We're in a hurry on it.
Yeah. We're in a hurry in that aspect, but yeah, nothing's rushed, and, we don't want to put anything out if we don't like it, and we don't want anybody to tell us that we can't put something out, or that we do what we do. If you listen to all of our music from front to back since 2023, basically, you don't really know what you're going to get. And as far as sound, or what are they going to do here, and
we've got some country covers recorded. Yeah. We've got a Linkin Park cover recorded.
We have fun with it.
Tesla, Guns N' Roses.
Yeah.
We've got, I don't even know that, there's some kind of current pop artist stuff or whatever you'd want to call. We've got 10 covers recorded that sound killer. It's just like, but is this the right time to put it out? I don't know. So, yeah.
So how many singles do you plan to put out leading up to the release of Mission Control?
This might be it. I don't want to overdo it with singles, and stretch it out over a year and make people listen one at a time. I'm always kind of on the side of just put the damn album out and let people consume it and love it. And, I get that aspect of slow playing it and focus tracks and making people only listen to the one for a month, and because it gets your streams up and it feeds the Spotify machine and the algorithm. And so I get that aspect, but I'm like, man, I like people just listening, having the ability to just listen to a whole album. Because by the time, if you slow play it and put out 5 or 6 singles or 4 or 5 singles, and then you drop the album, there's only 10 tracks. Well, half of that album's already old news and kind of repetitive to listen to. So, we might put out one more single from this, but I'd rather just drop the whole album in March and then move on to the next album.
Yeah, it's a banger album. I wish we just dropped the whole thing myself. Yeah. I mean, I'm too excited to. The anticipation's sucks.
Yeah.
Well, you can drop it into my inbox after this.
Yeah, right.
Hey,
right.
Yeah. Well, listen, if you want to do an album review for us,
I'll
talk to some people and make sure it's all good. I'll send you the whole album. So,
well, you don't want it this early, right? The release.
Yeah, no. Hey, you can. We'll put the review out in March. Yeah.
So, in addition to your own stuff in this home recording studio, from what I understand, you also offer other bands recording, production, and label services, as well as co-writing packages.
Yes.
Recording, mixing, mastering at the Horizon Lab. Tell me how this goes about.
Well, we basically got to a point where we're like, well, now we're 2 years out on music. We've got 2 years worth of music recorded. We're kind of ahead of the game, and there's a lot of bands in Michigan and mid-Michigan specifically that I think could benefit from, some good recordings, I don't care if it's demos or if you want to take it all the way and get it mixed and fully mastered. But we thought it would be a fun thing to do. Just get in the room with some other musicians and maybe co-write and, just start creating some more music. And it might actually inspire us and our band to go different directions musically. So,
yeah, for me, a lot of these bands, I used to play in a kind of a Michigan local band, and we played across the state, and I played a lot with a lot of really good bands, and a lot of these guys genuinely support us. And in local scenes, a lot of time there can be competition between bands. I mean, it's just is what it is. I'm sure it's that way all the way across the state. But here, a lot of these guys, at least the ones I know, genuinely support me and support the band. And just to be able to give back a little bit, they're great bands. And when you're limited on resources and funds, a lot of these guys, this is a dream for all of us, to make, just to make it, in the industry. And everybody's got full-time jobs who's just grinding. So it's hard to find somebody that's cost efficient when you're guys like that that has good quality sound when it comes to mastering or mixing, and we feel that like Chris does a hell of a job now we send our stuff out to get mixed eventually, but professionally, but as far as like I feel his mixes are good enough to just send out and get mastered. And a lot of these guys feel the same way. So it's cool to be able to offer that to these guys. You know what I mean? Like I said, it's a little more cost efficient and it sounds fire. So,
Yeah, I think, that's the other thing is there's not really there's no other studio to record in our area, our hometown. You'd have to drive. I think the nearest would be like, a half an hour drive, which isn't terrible or anything, but even that guy is he's a big producer, mixer, and he charges accordingly. So like we're like, well, you could spend $2,000 to get a song, tracked and mixed, or you could come to us and for $400 to $500, we'll track it, we'll co-write parts with you or help you out on the songwriting front. We'll get a good mix on it, and we have different packages and stuff, but it's just something we look to get into for fun and to kind of expand, what we're able to do. So,
yeah.
Is Mindful Recordings your label, or is that Morgan's label?
No, that's actually his name's Stephen Nathan. He owns a company called Mindful Music Promotions, based out of New York, and the Mindful Recordings is, I think, kind of his side deal with the promotion company. We had already done all of this stuff with Morgan, and at the studio in Illinois where we worked at with him, it wasn't anything related to, Steven's companies or anything, but we met him through Morgan, and we were looking for a good guy to partner with for not only promoting our music, but making sure that we're getting on the distribution side everything we deserve and we should be, and also a company that's going to help market and push our music, not just take our $80 a year like DistroKid or whatever and that's it. So we took our last album, Radio Silence, and we merged it into Mindful Recordings and let him basically distribute our music, that album, and the same thing with this new track with Morgan. So, and our Spotify, this guy's great at what he does, and our Spotify has been going through the roof. Like I think we were at 15,000 monthly listeners when he absorbed Radio Silence, and we are at 62,000 as of today, monthly listeners. So it's been great.
Yeah, it's working.
Yeah.
So you plan to have physical media for the album, or is this just going to be a digital release?
Oh yeah, we print everything. Yeah.
CD and vinyl? I think we should do vinyl on this because, our last couple tours, I've been asked a lot, are you guys going to get vinyl? And we get asked on social media all the time, vinyl.
We've got to do it. It's just the problem with vinyl is you've got to get, 100 copies made to get your price point down.
Yeah.
It's expensive. And then it takes a long time to get to you. And then hopefully there's no breakage. And then you've got to haul them around and take them into venues. And, we're going to do it, obviously. But we wanted to get the band grown to the point where it would make sense. Like we want to order 100 or 200 copies to get our price point down. And you know what I mean? And I don't want to sit on 100 vinyls in our like warehouse or studio for the next year. So we wanted to grow the band and get to a point where we can actually move these units. And so that's what we're going to do now. Yeah. Definitely with the new album with Morgan, we're going to do vinyl for that for sure.
Yeah. So we're kind of, on the tours we've only been together. We've been touring since 2023, nationally. So we're still kind of finding our market too, as well, as far as fan base and, and how, and so it's kind of the same. What he was saying, we don't want to sit on buy a bunch. We do that with shirts anyway.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And we do well with merch, but we don't want to bite off more than we can chew right now.
Yeah.
Does Horizon Theory have a steady drummer? I can't find information on one anywhere.
That's a fluid situation.
Yeah.
So we don't at at the moment, we don't have anybody that's just like a permanent fixture. You know, we're kind of just taking our time with things. Unfortunately, things didn't quite work out with the first drummer that we had. You know, we love the guy, hope the best for him, and you know, it's nothing, no ill feelings or anything. You know, no issues. Just it didn't work out. You know, being in a band and touring and being away from home and family is tough on people, and we get that as much as anybody. So, you know, we're just going to take our time with it, and you know, I keep telling these guys, I'll worry about a drummer when we have a tour lined up. So, you know, at that point, we'll figure it out. So
yeah, the big thing for me right now is just kind of getting the music out, you know, and I mean, we'll get somebody, someone will stick. We haven't been even.
I told Morgan it might be him.
Yeah.
So. Yeah.
Drummers, they're fine. They're in 12 other bands anyway.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
exactly.
Right.
You guys recently came off of a tour with Head PE. It was the Aliens versus Drones tour. How did that go?
It went great. It went great, man.
We had a lot of fun.
Yeah. Huge. Yeah, it was huge, man. Great. You know, the crowds might not have been 5,000 people every night, but they were lit every night.
Yeah, the people that were there were into it.
They were into it. Yeah, I was a little afraid because our style of music's a little different than Head PE's, and they have a lot of different sounds as well, you know. But I was a little, I kind of wondered what it was going to be like as far as for us, you know, our sound. And man, it went over really well. Every night went over really well.
We worry about this every tour.
We do.
You know, it's every tour, and I always tell them just relax. It's going to be good. But I have the same thoughts once in a while, especially the nerve wracking. You know, we did a run with Smile Empty Soul. That was our first tour. Our first show was a tour, actually. We had never even played a show yet, and we booked a tour with Smile. And then we went out with Cold and Orgy. I was a little worried. I wasn't too worried on that one, but the next one was Sevendust. They've got a really strong, like a very strong fan base that really loves them. And I had no idea how well the crowds would take to us as not only being brand new and unknown, essentially, but like our sound maybe wasn't quite as heavy at moments as Sevendust, or, you know, they've got a crowd that you've got to win over for sure. And we were pleasantly surprised. Like every night, the crowds were just, you know, erupting after our set. Like it was surreal. I get chills, you know, like it couldn't have gone any better. And by the second show, you know, our video guy we bring with us, he was like telling me, he's filming the crowd and he was shocked. He had no idea. He's like, dude, I was filming the crowd and caught all these people singing along to your songs. And like, you're a brand new band, you know, how did this happen? It was just shocking to us, you know. But we've gotten to watch that grow, you know, over a couple of those tours. And I'm trying not to worry as much about that. Like you just give us a stage. That's our motto. Just give us a stage and we'll try to do the rest and not worry about it. But
we're going to do us either way up there. So
if you like it, you like it. You know, if you don't, you don't. So
did I see a flamethrower on stage?
I would.
I would. No, that's a fog gun.
Yeah.
Okay.
Was it Froggy's Fog?
Froggy's Fog is the company. Yeah.
And you know, it's got lights in it, and you can change the color of the lights. But when it's orange, especially on stage or in the dark, it looks like
it does
flame.
Look like flame.
It's wild. Yeah. So, but it's a pretty cool deal, man. We about halfway through our set, we like our buddy Chella. He comes out and kind of sprays the crowd, sprays a little bit of the band, and we kind of do like this sort of like an interlude intro song. Is it Ground Control, isn't it?
No, Transmission. Middle of the set.
Yeah. And it's like a quick little headbanger, little jammer, and it's fun. You know, it's fun for the crowd and it's fun for us. Crowd goes nuts when he comes out and they see it. They don't know what it is. So it's pretty cool little prop.
Yeah, we've seen other bands actually start using that now since we've been using it. It's kind of starting to get out there now. So that's a cool thing for the company, you know, like we've got they share a lot of our content and they've loved what we've been doing with the fog gun. Yeah. So we call it Froggy Fresh, but yeah, it's a cool little thing. Maybe the flamethrowers are next, you know, maybe we'll look into some flamethrowers. So
You guys played a couple festivals this year. Which one was your favorite, Josh?
Upheaval Festival. I think that was the only one we played, wasn't it? Or no?
Yeah, might have. I can't remember.
Well,
Upheaval was the only outdoor like big festival.
Yeah. But it's Grand Rapids, Michigan. It's a 2-day event. Huge bands. I believe they had Falling in Reverse. Well, they had Rob Zombie headline the night we played, and then Saturday night they had Falling in Reverse. They had Yellow Wolf. A lot of other bands there as well.
Upheaval's a great vibe. Like that's an hour from our house.
It's like
an hour from where we live, essentially. So
and it's like a
town festival.
It's almost like a Danny Wimmer festival. It's a lot smaller, but it's the same. It's the same thing. It's a 2-day deal. A lot of the same bands that you see at those festivals. And so it's basically our home state. So it was huge. It was huge for us. I mean, it was the most people we'd played in front of yet, and it was very well received.
Yeah, we're ready for the Danny Wimmer stuff. So like if he's watching this, call us.
Yeah.
We're ready. Louder Than Life, whatever. Sonic Temple. Yeah. We're ready.
We're ready.
You might be. I don't know. You got the same publicist as another band that plays all the Wimmer festivals. So maybe you need to tell Shauna those are the things you want to get on.
Yeah. Maybe I should. I'll text her.
Yeah. Right. She knows.
Yeah.
Do you have any live performances lined up, or is it just focusing on getting this music out, this album out right now?
Yeah, right now we just put the single out. We're hoping to put the album out there's no, I don't think there's an actual date, but by March, I believe, at the latest, I think. And I think what we're keeping our options open, but we're hoping with this album, with this single, we can see what the numbers do and see how well received it is. And with this album coming out, we're hoping we kind of maybe get on something that's worth it for us.
Yeah, we're just we're not gonna like rush into a tour. We're gonna take our time a little bit. We're hoping for something. There's a certain size tour we're looking for, and we're waiting for that one to come to us. So we're hoping by March or April, something, an opportunity presents itself. And we've got some people kind of working in the background, trying to make some stuff happen for us. So we'll see. But yeah, we need a good tour for the spring. So if anyone's watching this and you want to take a little band like us down, just give us a stage. Yeah.
So besides the musicians that you work with in your home studio and the services you offer to them, are either of you a member of any other bands?
No, nope, not anymore.
Our drummer or our bass player, Lewis, he's in a band in LA called Eight Calacas. They're like a Spanish ska, I don't know. I think that's the name, right?
I think it's ska.
Punk/ska.
Yeah,
they're cool. They're like a fun, upbeat band. They do like a bunch of big, they're a party band for sure.
Yeah, they got saxophone and just about every instrument you can think of up there. There's 7 or 8 or 10 guys up there, and it's and they have a big following. Yeah, so he does that. He tours with them a little bit. Yeah, but other than that, no.
We're focused on this thing right now.
So before I let you go, where did the band name Horizon Theory come from?
That's kind of you, really.
I think it came from the dictionary. So I'm trying to remember how this happened. We were trying to think of a band name for like 9 months for this thing.
I think it was you and Lewis or something.
Yeah, we just couldn't. Everything's taken. There's like no band names left. Every damn word in the dictionary is a band. If you Google anything, it's a band. So Horizon Theory, I was reading through something, and I came across that term, and I Googled it. I looked it up in the dictionary, and then I kind of saw some different definitions and meanings for it, which were kind of cool. There's this concept out there, this theory concept thing called Horizon Theory, that basically you are the main character in the story, and that everything in the world is kind of like put there for your entertainment. It's like you ever seen The Truman Show with Jim Carrey?
Yeah.
Okay, so it's kind of like you're the Truman Show. And there's this whole kind of like dark web thought, like conspiracy about this. Anyway, I thought it was kind of unique. And then I Googled it. I'm like, but surely it's taken. And it wasn't. There was no band called Horizon Theory. I'm like, holy shit, I found it. And I Googled all the guys, and they're like, yeah, we're in.
And that was before, check this out. That was before we ever heard about all these theory bands. Because there's so many theory bands now, and we hear it too. Oh, great, another theory band. So my thing is, we just got to be better than the other theory bands.
Yeah, right. That's it. Yeah. We just got, well, it's like when you buy a new car and you see that car everywhere now, and you had never seen it before. So we named the band. We put out a single, and then all of a sudden this band came along called Sleep Theory, and then there was Silent Theory, and then there was
and they were probably already a band. Oh, I'm sure,
but I think they started really gaining traction and getting exposure
right after
we kind of launched this thing. And it was just a weird timing. But hey, we want to go, let's put together a Theories tour, and we'll get, a Silent Theory, Sleep Theory, us. And then we're talking the other day, Bring Me the Horizon. We'll call it the Bring Me the Horizon Theory tour. Let's go. So,
yeah.
All the great band names are either taken or craft beer takes them. And from what I understand, Michigan has tons of craft beer. So you guys were very pigeonholed.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, it was tough. And a lot of people have brought up, are you guys Linkin Park fans? Because that's really close to Hybrid Theory, their first album. I'm like, well, everybody liked Linkin Park, but I forgot about the name of that album. Like, that was not even a thought in my mind, Hybrid Theory.
I've never even heard of it.
It was their first album with like Paper Cut and One Step.
Good.
You need to listen to some Linkin Park was good. But yeah, so a lot of people thought it was some sort of like take on the Linkin Park album. And then combined with the fact that some of our sounds are very similar to Linkin Park, like our verses and the flow of our verses and the big choruses. Some people might think we're copying Linkin Park. I don't know.
That's what Past Life. When we put Past Life out, which was the first song we put out, that we basically professionally got done. That was a lot. We heard that a lot. I heard that a lot. Like, man, it's a lot like Linkin Park, and I mean, people like it. That's a huge compliment. Yeah. I was never a huge Linkin Park fan. I don't dislike them. I was always like, for me, it's hard to get out of what I'm into. It takes a lot for me to finally,
Sure.
And, but I do like them. And, for me, like, that's a huge compliment. I mean, to say I sound like Duster,
you suck. It's better.
Right. Yeah.
As long as we're not hearing you suck.
Right. I'm good with it.
Yeah.
You could say Linkin Park stinks. I don't like Head PE.
Oh yeah, well,
hey, you know what? Those guys rock, man.
Dude, I didn't. That was the other thing. Like, I do like Linkin Park. I just never got into it.
Show.
But yeah, Head PE was that was insane, dude. I didn't know.
Those guys have a great live show. I had never listened to them much before we got on that tour, but
I haven't listened to them since like the early 2000s. Maybe they've gotten better in 25 years.
Yeah, they're different. A few different band members, I think.
Well, listen. I'm sure the other band members are good too. Listen to the song "Pay Me." Like, that's the one, right?
That's the one.
Pay Me. That riff is just nasty, and I love the angriness in his rap verse vocals, and that it's just a nasty riff.
Oh, and the lyrics are insanely good too.
Yeah. Hey, we love Nate is their guitar player, and we found out while we're on tour together. And he's a recent addition, I think, as of a couple of years ago. We both went to Musicians Institute in LA at the same time. And he was actually working in the student office when I was a student there. And we had met each other. Once he said it, I remembered him from back then. I was like, holy shit, man, this is a small world. Like, we're going to school at Musicians Institute in 2013 in LA. And I end up on a tour with this guy 12 years later, pretty cool. So
it is a small world.
Yeah.
Well, Josh, Chris, those are all the questions I have for you today. The new single is Transcendence. It's out now through Mindful Recordings. Mission Control is on the way next year. And what I've heard so far, I can't wait for the full album. And I want to thank you both for taking the time to tell me more about it today.
Cool. Absolutely. Thank you, man. Appreciate it. Yes, really appreciate it.
And I will check out the current version of Head PE and see what I think.
Yeah, do that.
Cool.
Once again, I want to thank Josh Harrington and Chris Black of Horizon Theory for coming on the Rock is George podcast. Be sure to check out their latest single, Transcendence, out now on your favorite music streaming platform. Also be on the lookout for their upcoming studio album, Mission Control, expected in the first quarter of 2026. I also want to thank Shauna O'Donnell of O'Donnell Media Group for making this interview possible. You've been great. I've been George Dionne. Discover your next favorite artist on the Rock is George podcast.